Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Aaron.
Aaron is present. Thanks for joining me, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I have an update for you on the saga of the missing Miscavige. Oh my God, David Miscavige has been getting so many headlines the last couple of days. Here's just a few examples. Scientology leader David Miscavige allegedly dodging lawyers as trafficking lawsuit looms. That's on TMZ. This one is on Jezebel. Scientology leader David Miscavige appears to be missing. This next one is on LA Magazine. Scientology boss David Miscavige missing as trafficking suit looms. And then we have New York Post. Scientology's missing Miscaviges. Where are leader David and his wife, Shelley? Oh my God, Miscavige has got to absolutely hate that he's getting so many headlines all over the world, actually. So guys, this is all in response to a hearing that was held on January 20th in the trafficking lawsuit against David Miscavige and a handful of Scientology organizations. And in that hearing, the hearing was specifically just to resolve the issue of, has David Miscavige been served in this case? The plaintiff's attorneys are trying to make an argument that he should be considered served by the court as a result of a process that has been completed through the Secretary of the State of Florida. The defendant, Miscavige's team, is saying, no, he should not be ruled served because he's not a citizen of Florida. He's a citizen of California, and he doesn't actually do business in Florida as an individual. It's gotten a little complicated. I don't want to rehash it all, but I've done several videos about it that I'll put a link to down below if you're interested in all that. But I do have an update because at the January 20th hearing, one of the funniest things that happened at this hearing was Miscavige's side kept saying, you know, Your Honor, this service at this address shouldn't count because that wasn't the right address. The service attempt at this other address shouldn't count. I mean, the plaintiffs have tried to serve Miscavige at like 10 or 11 different addresses, like 27 or 28 times. And at one point, the judge said to Miscavige's attorney, how are we supposed to know or believe, or how are we supposed to have any idea that these addresses are the wrong addresses when you will not tell us what the right address is? And it sure seemed like a gotcha. Now, apparently the judge had administered some instructions to the attorneys to get together and try to resolve this particular issue. What I want to share with you today is some of the documents that have just been filed with the court. So here we have here first just a straight email, January 25th, just 3 days ago, from one of the plaintiff's attorneys to two of the defense attorneys. Okay, Joseph and Crystal. At the hearing on the motion to declare your client, defendant David Miscavige, served on January 20th, the Honorable Judge Sneed asked whether plaintiff's counsel had discussed with you whether you were willing to provide an address for your client. You stated that you would be happy to have that conversation. During the meet and confer this afternoon on July 25th, plaintiff's counsel proposed that if you agreed to accept or waive service, plaintiffs would withdraw their motion for default and would not seek the unnecessary costs of serving the summons pursuant to ... You rejected this proposal and instead proposed that the plaintiffs dismiss Mr. Miscavige from the complaint. Oh, shocker that was their request. Plaintiffs' counsel then asked if you would provide an address to send Mr. Miscavige the notice of service upon the Florida Secretary of State. You stated that you would not provide an address for Mr. Miscavige and expressed concerns about his security. Okay, of course, this is the argument Scientology is going to make. Mr. Miscavige is afraid for his life because Leah Remini and Mike Rinder have incited so much hatred and bigotry against Miscavige in Scientology that people are out to get him. Miscavige has never had a credible threat on his life in his life. Scientology considers mean tweets to be threats upon Miscavige's life. Well, I'm not even kidding. That is actually what they consider to be threats. Okay, so it continues here. In response to your concerns, plaintiff's counsel proposed that you provide an address to just one attorney who would hold the address confidentially. You refused. Plaintiff's counsel again asked if you would accept service on behalf of Mr. Miscavige, but you refused. Finally, plaintiff's counsel asked if you would provide an alternative address for service that would protect Mr. Miscavige's privacy. You again refused and stated that you would be open to having another conversation after Judge Sneed ruled on our motion. Well, yeah, I mean, let's be real. There is absolutely no circumstances under which Miscavige is going to authorize his attorney to provide any information to the plaintiffs or to the court that would facilitate Miscavige being serviced. This is all just a shell game in a sense, all just a smoke and mirrors thing to just dragging it on as long as possible, because once Miscavige is actually served in this suit, stuff's going to get really real. And by the way, this is slightly off topic, but this next exhibit was included in the most recent filing, and it just absolutely cracks me up. Miscavige's attorneys are trying to use my own videos as evidence that the filings, the motions being introduced in this case by the plaintiff's attorneys are intentionally fraudulent. So here we go. They quote from a video that I did on New Year's Eve. They quote me saying, by the way, this is the international headquarters out in the desert in Riverside County, California. Oh yeah, I was doing a video about the police having responded to some incident that occurred at Scientology's international base out in San Jacinto. Just north of San Jacinto in Riverside County. So, by the way, this is the international headquarters out in the desert in Riverside County, California. We're not talking about Clearwater. We're not talking about Los Angeles. We're not talking about L. Ron Hubbard Way or the Celebrity Center. We're talking about INT. This is where David Miscavige actually lives and works primarily, and it's the location of Golden Era Productions studio. So Scientology is being a little cute here. The fact is, Miscavige doesn't primarily live anywhere, really. And that is by design. Miscavige and Scientology don't want anybody to be able to ever pinpoint his location or to have some basis upon which to serve him. So as far as the world of Scientology is concerned, David Miscavige is supposed to be the head of international management. The international management base is out in Riverside County, right near San Jacinto. As far as the world of Scientology is concerned, they believe David Miscavige lives and works at the international base. Now, Scientology would like you to believe, if you're trying to serve him in California, that he really spends most of his time working here in Clearwater, Florida. If you're trying to serve him here in Clearwater, Florida, they want you to think he really spends most of his time working out in Los Angeles, working in locations out in Los Angeles. The fact is, in literal terms, like real world terms, currently, David Miscavige spends most of his time living and working at the Scientology Media Productions in Hollywood, California, and living behind Author Services International. That's what's happening in the real world, whether Scientology wants to admit it or not. Now, the affidavits the one affidavit I submitted in this case didn't represent that David Miscavige lived in Clearwater, Florida. I represented that when David Miscavige is in Clearwater, Florida, he lives at the Hacienda Gardens Apartments, the Hacienda Gardens apartment building here in Clearwater. If you live here, you know where it is. And so anyway, it's just really cracks me up that Miscavige and his attorneys have submitted evidence. They watch every moment, every minute, every second of my videos and are happy to introduce them as exhibits in legal cases, which it just cracks me up, guys. The final piece of info I'll share as far as what was filed is this is an affidavit, a declaration by Elias Cohn or Elias Cohn. I'm not sure the right way to pronounce that, but towards the bottom here, what it says is, on January 25th, 2023, plaintiff's counsel met and conferred with Joseph, Terry, and Crystal Durham, counsel for Mr. Miscavige. Plaintiff's counsel asked if they would waive or accept service, provide Mr. Miscavige's address, provide Mr. Miscavige's address to only one attorney for plaintiffs who would hold the address confidentiality. That looks to be a typo. Or provide an alternative address for service. Miscavige's counsel said no to each request. Attached here too, as Exhibit E, is a true and correct copy of the email sent by plaintiff's counsel to Miscavige's counsel on January 25th, 2023, memorializing the conversation. So, I mean, the headlines that Miscavige is getting on this subject are actually totally correct. I mean, they say he's missing. It would be more correct to say he's hiding. But the fact is, he's missing because he's hiding. Even his own attorney refuses to provide an address to the court, even under the promise that it will be kept strictly confidential. And actually, what I thought was the best piece here was the plaintiff's attorneys offering to, okay, fine, don't give us his real address. Just give us an alternate address that we can use to effect service. They probably even agreed to hold that confidentially, and so that we can effect service without endangering the safety of your client. I mean, the plaintiff's attorneys have gone out of the way to be as fair as possible, and good on them, because the judge is going to see that. The judge ain't no dummy, and she's not in the mood for any of these games. So Miscavige is missing. He's missing. He's hiding. He's missing because he's hiding. In any event, what he is a little coward, and his day's coming. He's going to be served soon, and then his next battle will be trying not to be deposed. So stay tuned for any updates on this. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Thanks to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right